Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hutchinson City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. We'll call the meeting to order. Approve the council agenda. Any agenda additions or corrections?
Mayor, council, I don't have any additions or corrections for you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Dave to approve the agenda as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Will say nay. Motion carries. Invocation. Let's have a moment of silence, please. Next is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic in which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognitions of gifts, donations, and community service to the city. Pat, how did the walking around the Christmas tree go?
Excellent. It was like the coldest night of the year, and we had a great turnout. I'm a little worried about that, but
Santa didn't cheat a little bit and have a
he
little.
did not. And actually, I walked by here as you guys were still in the truth, and I thought I could come in my uniform, but it might make a mockery of our truth and taxation. So I did keep going, but it was well attended.
We were discussing the budget, and Santa might have been helpful.
Yeah, there's that.
Alrighty, we do have two resolutions underneath there. We have resolution number 15947, resolution accepting $500 donation from the American Legion Post 96 for the police department Shop with a Cop event. And we have resolution number 15949, resolution accepting $900 donations for Lionel and Steve Lockreach for cemetery maintenance and operations.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Chad to approve both those resolutions. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Will say nay. Motion carries. Public comment, citizens addressing the council, just please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Alrighty, we have approval of minutes. We have the regular meeting minutes of November 25th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to approve minutes as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Will say nay. Motion carries. Consent agenda, this will be done with one motion unless somebody pulls something off for discussion. We have A is approval of the 2026 license renewals. B is consideration for approval of items for the water treatment plant observed osmosis membrane replacement as letting number 3, project number 26-03. There's two resolutions underneath there. We have resolution number 15945, resolution ordering preparation of reports on improvements, and resolution number 15946, resolution receiving reports and calling for hearing on improvements. C is consideration for approval of resolution number 15950, resolution approving state airport fund grant agreement with Minnesota DOT, and D is claims of appropriations and contract payments, register A. Anything anybody wants pulled off for discussion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Tim to approve as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Consent agenda 2, claims appropriation contract payments, register B.
Motion to approve.
Is that, do you have
I
a,
think
You
it's,
do, Gary.
I do.
Well, your son does.
okay,
I'd make a motion to approve it.
So there is a motion?
yes.
I'll second.
Motion by Chad, second by Tim, with me abstaining. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll say nay. Motion carries. Public hearing, business subsidy for 10 Main Street LLC Jorgensen Hotel Project. Resolution number 15948, resolution authorizing execution of amendment and restate development agreement and approval of business subsidy.
There we go. Okay, now we're good. Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we're going to have a public hearing to talk about business subsidies for the Jorgensen Hotel project. The agenda item is a resolution authorizing the signing or the execution of an amended and restated development agreement with the developer. And then the second part is approval of a business subsidy for the developer company, which is 10 Main Street LLC. So this is going to boil down to just revising the TIF amount, and I'll come back to that. And then we have to go through certain items to satisfy the business subsidy statute. So there's 8 or 9 things that I need to cover there. So just by way of a refresher, back on October 28th, we established a redevelopment TIF district for the Jorgensen Hotel project. And this was just to provide the public assistance necessary to make the project work financially. And at that time, we had talked about it, that it's possible we'd be coming back to revisit this question. Partly that's because the information that we had at that time led us to a certain level of public assistance to be provided, which is what we did on October 28th. But then we knew also that the developer was going to be providing some additional information that might cause us to have to come back and re-examine that number. So that's what happened, and that's why we're here again tonight to re-examine that number for the public assistance. So just for the folks at home and in the audience, the project that we're talking about is the redevelopment of the Jorgensen Hotel and the Cook Jewelry Building. Basically, we got 3 goals here. One is we're always looking to get rid of blighted properties in and around the downtown. Number 2, we want to redevelop the site. And then 3, we want to strengthen the downtown. So that's our goals with the project. The project itself, I think most everybody's familiar where the Jorgensen is, but if they're not, this is on the corner of Main Street and Washington, right across the street from Library Square. The address is 2 Main Street South and 10 Main Street South. Those buildings have been there since, 1919 or something like that. So they're over 100 years old now. I'm not going to show you all the pictures, but there's one that's sort of representative. It's time. It's done its duty, and it's probably time. And then I got many positive comments on the rat, so I thought I'd bring the rat back. So there's lots of interesting things upstairs in those old buildings. I'll just say that. Where this is going in the future, it's not going to look exactly like that. I just had to get a picture of a new building to show what a new building looks like. But the developer is telling us 40-room hotel. It'll have some commercial component on the main level. I don't know if it's retail per se, but it'll be some commercial something. Then there'll be 40 rooms hotel, plus or minus, and then possibly an event center on the top floor. So it could be a pretty interesting project here if everything comes together. About a $12.1 million project. So it's a big project for downtown Hutchinson, one of the biggest ever. And we did look at the economic impacts of this project without getting too much into the details here. Once this new hotel is up and running and it's generating all kinds of economic activity, that could tally up to $3 or $4 million added to the McLeod County economy every year. So it's going to bring a lot of vitality to the downtown. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we set up a redevelopment TIF district on October 28th. And here I just kind of wanted to spell out where we were on October 28th and where we're going or where we're proposing to go today. So on October 28th, based on the information available to us at that time, the assistance that was authorized by the city council was $792,000 through this tax increment financing district, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So basically that would go for about 15 years where the property taxes on the new hotel get captured and then put back into the project, and I'll expand on that. Now, based on new information that we've received from the developer, the city, we had our financial consultants look at all this, and they said, yeah, it probably makes sense that we got to go with a higher number. So what we're proposing is a principal amount of $1,174,522. That would be over 26 years. That basically maxes out the life of the TIF district. It's not unprecedented. When we did the State Theater years ago, that was 25, 26-year district. When we did Cornerstone Commons, that was, again, a 25, 26-year district. Sometimes it just takes that amount of assistance to push these things through to the finish line. So, without getting too much into the nitty-gritty, the key takeaway here is that it's not public tax dollars that are going in. The developer on the property, he's going to be paying his property taxes. That's all kind of going into the bucket, per se. And then from that bucket, a certain amount, about 90% of that, would come back as tax increment that would go to the developer. And he uses that to offset project costs. Why is it needed? Well, bottom line is that without the assistance, the project doesn't happen. It just doesn't work financially. And this is a project that we've been trying to get redeveloped, and others have been trying to redevelop for decades. The thing on the right there, that's from a proposal, I think that was late 1990s. People were trying to do something with this. And there's been multiple proposals since, and none of it works. So that's why we got to get in and give this thing a push financially. And then second reason we want this project to happen downtown, the developer could make his life very easy and probably less expensive if he went and built this thing on the edge of town. Find a patch of green grass, build a new hotel. That's pretty easy. But when you're doing redevelopment, that's where it gets hard, because you're buying existing dilapidated buildings. That costs a certain amount of money. Then you got to take them down, which is not easy, and it is expensive. Then you got to prep the site. So with this particular project, the developer's probably going to have $1 million into this before he can lay the first brick. And so that's why a redevelopment is hard. And so often you see things happen on the edge of town. But we're trying to promote Main Street. We're trying to promote vitality in our downtown. So that's why this is all needed. Any questions so far? Okay, so that's the rationale behind the assistance and why we're proposing to increase the assistance to make this thing work. The second segment that I have to talk about, and this is required by state law, is, it's considered a business subsidy. We're providing assistance to this business. And then there's like 8 or 9 things that I have to cover. So I'm just going to tick through these things, and then I'll be happy to answer any other questions at the end. So description of the proposed subsidy, it's a redevelopment TIF district. So in this case, it's going to run the full term, 26 years. The estimated tax increment that's going to be generated over that period is going to be the principal amount, $1,174,522 plus interest. Public purposes: 1, enhance economic diversity of the city; 2, stabilize the community, because we don't want to have a bunch of ratty buildings around; and then third is to increase the tax base of the community, because at the end of the day, it will increase the tax base of Hutchinson. Measurable, specific, tangible goals. Most importantly is remove blight. Number 2 is preserve and increase the tax base of the city. There's no job creation component with this. There probably will be jobs created, but we're just not going to have it as one of our goals. It's not a goal of the project. It's really just get that corner straightened up. So the goals will be met if the developer builds the project, and we have a new hotel over there. Financial obligation, if the goals are not met, if the hotel project doesn't happen, developer has to repay the assistance plus interest. Why is the subsidy needed? Like I said before, it's really just to make the numbers work, to make this thing economically feasible. Commitment to continue operations in the city for 5 years, so this is all in the development agreement, which the developer has signed. I did get he pre-signed the development agreement, so we have that in our possession right now. Name and address of parent corporation, there's none. And list of financial assistance by other grantors. As part of this project, we got a grant from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, $150,000. That'll help just with taking down those buildings. Lastly, we've discussed this at length at the EDA over the course of months and months and months. And so we've reviewed this from every angle, and we think it's the right thing to do, and the EDA is recommending that we move ahead. So what we're asking the council to consider is just approval of the resolution, which would authorize us to do the development agreement, sign the development agreement. That'll increase that level of tax increment financing that we talked about, and then puts in place the business subsidy provisions. That's it. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Yes. Miles, when we're looking at this, I mean, first thing there is no taxpayer dollars going into this project. As for it, EDA funding would go into this project.
Well, not this component. I mean, we are making a loan to help with the acquisition of the Cook building, and that will be a forgivable loan. So if he purchases the Cook building and takes it down and gets this thing built within a 5-year window, then we're going to forgive the loan. So I guess there's that, but directly, no. I mean, there's nothing that's coming out of any of our budgets per se. So it's not property tax dollars, no.
But yes, that's the base question.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask a question. If this didn't occur, what happens to that property that's been, I mean, in the time I remember, it's been sitting, yes, there was some bottom floor stuff used.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody who owns that building is going to recoup any money out of that.
No, originally when the developer bought this thing years ago, his original plan was to preserve the Jorgensen, or at least the ground level of the Jorgensen, and take off the top 2 levels and then build it up from there on that existing first floor. And he spent a ton of money on engineering studies to figure out, okay, is this feasible? And if so, how can it be done? And through that process, it turned out it just can't be done. The building is in too bad a shape to be able to do anything with it. There's water intrusion on the west side, on the alley side where it's coming in, so the foundation is degrading back in there. I think you can just see for yourself here, the inside looks pretty tough, and the whole ceiling is not in very good shape. The roof is in poor shape, and then there's like a 3-foot parapet around the perimeter on the top. That thing's collapsing. So it's degrading, and it's just like if you put an ice cube on the table, you would look at it for a long time and it wouldn't change. But then all of a sudden, boosh, you got a puddle of water sitting there. And it's going to be the same darn thing with that building. I mean, it might not look bad, but it's going to degrade faster and faster. And so it's just at a point where if the developer doesn't take it down, I don't know what happens. It would be messy. I'll just say that.
Anything else for Miles?
Just that I'm in favor of this project, so.
All right, then we'll open it up for public comment.
For the public's in attendance, this is the opportunity for you to come forward and state your name and address to the council and express any questions or concerns regarding the proposed business subsidy and TIF district that's being considered by the council.
Entertain a motion to close the public
I
hearing.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. entertain a motion for approval of resolution number 15948.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Tim, second by Chad to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. We have Edmonton Avenue Southeast project, letting number 1, project number 26-01. We have two resolutions underneath there. We have resolution number 15941, resolution ordering improvements and preparation of plans and specifications, and resolution number 15942, resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisements for bids. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Brandon Braithwaite, City Engineer. Short presentation tonight for each of our projects, and this would be letting number 1, the Edmonton Avenue project. Ultimately, we're looking for two things: the preparation of plans and specs, and a resolution to advertise for bids. Edmonton Avenue is on the southeast part of town. This intersection at Montreal is where the Culvers is, and it heads east to Jefferson Street. This project that we're looking at for next year would stop just short of that intersection where Culvers and the eye doctor is, and continue the road project all the way east to Jefferson Street. This is also passes by the Elk Ridge development that was built this past year. We're looking at completely closing down this corridor during our constructions. There's no homes that directly abut or have driveways directly on Edmonton, so we can keep traffic open in other areas and then completely close this project. This is a reclamation project, so it's basically surface improvements. There's not wholesale utility improvements, just kind of spot repairs as needed. There is a multi-use trail on the north side.
Brandon, there's a
Blanket.
clicker right there.
Yes, thank you. There's a multi-use trail on the north side, and we would reclaim, which means basically mill that up and repave that trail for a nice new surface. The reclamation process is basically a mill-in-place process. So the picture on the left, machines would take the asphalt that's in place, grind it up in place. Ultimately, that would kind of ground up with the gravel that's underneath it. The excess material would be hauled to Creekside for future sale. And then basically the road would turn from a paved road into a gravel road at that point. It would remain in that gravel condition for while the rest of the work, the spot repairs of the different utilities, and then so that the construction access can be maintained during the work. And then shaped and graded to accept a future asphalt road. Like I kind of mentioned, we're looking at full road closure. We're looking at protecting all the existing trees on this project, especially the ones on the north side along the trail. There's going to be some spot improvements to curb and gutter that will increase ADA accessibility. What we've seen when this road was built back in 2002, that over time this road has kind of sunken a little bit, and so some of the manholes are a little bit high, and so we're going to adjust those and get them to the right grade. We'll be looking at 6.5 inches of new asphalt on that road and 3 inches of a new trail. And we're going to try a pavement marking that we haven't used, as far as I know, we haven't used in Hutchinson before, but it's more reflective at night. And so we think with the cross through traffic, this would be a good project to try it. This is Edmonton Avenue is a state aid eligible road segment, so we'd be looking at funding this through our state aid. You can see the state aid would cover 98% of the funding. In general, Hutchinson receives about $1 million of state aid each year, so this project is kind of right in that package where we can kind of take out this whole chunk. That's all the slides I had on this first project.
And Brandon, not every street is eligible for state aid.
Correct. It has to do with traffic limits and just the higher traffic roads.
Does the council have any questions on this project? All right, then I'll open it up for public comment.
Once again, similar to our previous public hearing, if anybody from the public would like to address the council, please come forward. State your name and address regarding the Edmonton Avenue project.
Candy Stowell, 365 Ottawa Avenue. I have a question. There's a bunch of us that have irrigation systems that go to the curb, like right at the edge there. Is that something you're addressing? Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, let me pull up a map, and I think I know what you're talking about on Calgary, where we have roads that back up to the streets.
Back of our house, yeah.
Yeah, and so there is no work proposed on Calgary itself, but just to kind of tie in. And what we'll do is work with homeowners and kind of try to get those identified and protect them as much as we can. There is proposed sidewalk improvements at the Calgary intersection. Am I in the right area? At the Calgary or at the Sherwood intersection?
Oh, we're on Ottawa. My
Oh, in Ottawa?
house is on Ottawa. Edmonton is the back part of my house.
Oh, okay, in Ottawa, yeah. So we'll identify kind of the right of way along here and work with each homeowner to try to.
There's 3 of us for sure that I know of. I don't know about a bunch more, but I do know there are exactly 3 of us for sure. If you do the curb, it's right up to the curb.
Okay.
You know, it is right there.
Okay. Yep, and just to kind of clarify, we're not doing wholesale curb replacements. We're doing kind of spot repairs, but we'll identify where the spot repairs are. And
Do you need us to mark them or anything? Or?
the sprinkler, the irrigation systems, yeah, once we get closer to the project and we have like the set schedule, and then we'll have a period where we reach out to each homeowner and kind of we can work with you and we know the exact timing of the curb replacements. So,
Sounds good.
yeah, thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. We have the 2 resolutions underneath there. Entertain a motion to approve both.
I would make a motion to approve both of them.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Tim to approve both resolutions. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. 2026 street improvement projects, levy number 2, project number 26-02. And resolutions underneath there, resolution number 15943, resolution ordering improvements and preparation of plans and specifications. And resolution number 15944, resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisements for bids.
You get to hear from me again. Second project we have on the agenda tonight. We've kind of put all of our other street projects under this umbrella of the 2026 public improvements. There's multiple segments of this project, and ultimately I'll be looking for the same 2 resolutions to proceed with this project for bidding. There's basically 3 main project areas. There's the Boulder Street, which is directly north of the high school. I keep on pointing at my screen, so you can't see that. Boulder Street, directly north of the high school. Larson Street, just east of there. And then kind of the neighborhood, Sherwood, Bradfield, Elks, Orchard, and Randall. In general, these streets are more residential, less traffic. They're not state aid eligible. But in general, the project is the same type of project where it's just surface improvements, and I'll walk you through those different types of work. I can't answer at this point what segments are going to go where. What we'd aim to do is bid and show all these segments and then work with the contractor and figure out kind of staging and phasing. And there might be areas that we can start while school's in session, and there, depending on bus routes, there might be other areas where we just kind of wait and hold off. I'll come back to this picture at the end. This would follow the same process, asphalt reclamation process. So again, the milling machines would come in, grind the asphalt in place, and then basically turn the paved road into a gravel road. At that point, all the driveways would still be accessible for the majority of the project. The roadway would be rolled and compacted so it stays firm. It's also important to note that this is also their construction access, so the construction crews have to use this roadway to get to the rest of their areas. North of Century Avenue on Sherwood and Bradford and Randall, there is some subgrade soils that are in worse condition. In fact, there's a patch that's gravel right now. It's just been too soft to repair. And in this segment, we are aiming to go deeper and take out more and replace the softer clays. And this is an example of what we did on Dale Street last year, building the subgrade back up with fabric and geotextile and the same ground up material to kind of solidify that base. So on the north side, on Bradford and Randall, it will be more impactful, and there will be a time where driveways are inaccessible. What we're aiming to do with this project is, again, keep the project open during the majority of the time and accessible to driveways. We're working with the post office to where it makes sense, provide temporary mailbox locations, but also there are some houses that we've identified that have delivery, so we'd work with the post office on those. We're going to have just utility spot repairs, so manholes, we're replacing water valves, and we're replacing hydrants. So those will have some water main disruptions, because when we go to replace a valve, we'll have to isolate that segment, and we would do that work during the day with at least 48 hours notice. There's quite a bit of ash trees, especially in the Elks and Orchard area, that we're going to proactively try to remove, and then we'll come back and replant other types of species there. Again, existing asphalt reclaimed in place. Whatever is access, we can take to Creekside for sale. We're going to be installing edge drain on this property for future connections for sump pumps, solidified foundation, and overall smoother ride. Like I mentioned, this project is not state aid eligible. Assessment notices have gone out to residents. We had a neighborhood meeting last week. Overall, we're looking to fund this project of about 20% of assessments, and we're using our rate, which is a partial reconstruction, so it's a lower assessment percentage. And again, not wholesale curb and gutter replacements, just spot curb repairs as needed. If it's in front of a driveway, which gets the majority of traffic in and out and turning, then the driveway would be inaccessible during that time while we're repaving, but otherwise we think the driveways can remain open. And so this is kind of our funding breakdown. Overall, this project, because it's in the neighborhood, is more impactful, especially with those water main repairs. And that's the last slide I have on this project.
Council have any questions for Brandon on this project?
No.
All right, then we'll open it up for public comment.
Similar to obviously the two previous public hearings I've had, this is an opportunity for the public. We ask that you come forward, state your name and address for the record. Feel free to ask any questions or address the council regarding the proposed improvement.
Yeah, Tony Murphy, 413 Boulder Street. I didn't hear you mention anything about a sidewalk.
Yeah, so Boulder Street right now does not have sidewalk, and we're not aiming to put sidewalk in on Boulder Street. In fact, Boulder Street, Larson Street, Sherwood, there's very little sidewalk on this second project.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin Remus, 110 Orchard Avenue, Southeast. Regarding the water, is it just valves going in or pipes?
There is no pipe work that I know of, just replacing gate valves and hydrants.
Okay,
So,
maybe misread.
okay, so there
I
may
know there
be,
have been some breaks there where they had to
sure,
replace. I don't know how they fixed it, but there was a bunch of water. coming
sure,
out right
yeah,
at
and
the
there,
intersection.
there might be leads to the hydrants that we would go ahead and replace those leads to, that might make sense. But we know some of the valves themselves are getting old and some are getting corroded. When we're looking to replace a valve, let's say it's a valve B, we aim to, turn off valve A and turn off valve C to isolate it. If those fail, we might have to go further up the block.
So we won't see like 6 foot down deep, the full length.
No wholesale trenching, just spot repairs, and we hope that, because the road is the contractor's access in and out, that the road can remain open and they can just kind of fence off or, protect their trench area, and then that would be day work, open up a trench, replace the main, backfill it, move on to the next one. Not main, valve, replace the valve, move on to the next one, and kind of
The other
work their
question I
way.
had, I just heard you say something about where you'd hook up a sump pump. I didn't quite catch
So
what that
on
was.
some of our streets, or we're doing this on new streets where we have a drain edge, and this would be either in the front of curb towards the center line or behind
Because
curb.
I've seen houses with a line on the grass and then it goes in. Is
Right. So in an effort to try to get some pumps to remove them from the surface, we can provide 4-inch drains along the curb or at the edge of the road, where some pumps can directly tie in. So we've been out there kind of noting where we see some pump drainage, and if homeowners have them, contact us and we can go ahead and connect those as part of this project.
Yeah. I don't think it would work for us, ours on the back side of the house, but.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm Kathy Grant. I live on Orchard Southeast on 140 Orchard, and like you mentioned, the sump pump. Ours is run out the front of our house. That's where our sump is, in the corner of our house down in the basement. And since we bought that house in 2017, the line that was underground, I think the roots from the maple trees have grown into it, so that at first it was slowly plugging up we couldn't run the sump pump as usual, so we had to run a line out the front. So possibly we can get a hookup for our sump instead of running a line on top of our grass.
Right, so we would just work with you to, if you want to replace the line that had damage, and kind of bring it towards the right of way, and then from the right of way.
We've got 2 big maple trees in the front yard that are just, the roots are coming above ground. I don't know what's going to happen to those 2 trees. So I'm just a little concerned. It would be great to have our line running underground like it was when we first started, but since we couldn't get the water to move out of our basement, we've had to run it above ground. So, and the only way is through the front. But we were told by our realtor when we bought the house that we couldn't run a line towards the sewer drain.
Not the sanitary sewer,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, I noted your address, and yeah, we can take a look at it, and if we provide that edge drain, in that location, which we're aiming to do, you can decide if you want to hook up to it now or in the future, but it'll always be there, and it's just a matter of those private trees of when is a better time.
Yeah, because right now the tree roots, I think, are a problem
Right.
with having a line out there.
And there's nothing wrong with running that above ground, we provide that, and it does, the primary reason is that it helps us keep the water from underneath our roads and saturating our roads from underneath. So, but it's a dual benefit.
Yeah, because it usually runs right down the gutter to the sanitary sewer, the line down at the end of the street. Cause I know we had, I think it was this last year, they replaced the one across the street because it was falling in,
Okay.
our neighbor across the street. So, but no, it would be nice to have it running underground, but my husband and I checked and it's gonna cost a lot of money just to run it underground.
Sure. With those roots, sure.
Yeah, so, no, we're just concerned about our access to cause my husband goes to work, our access out of our driveway with all that construction. He's a little concerned, he was a little tired, he would've came tonight, but he was a little tired, but, yeah, we're just a little concerned about if we're gonna have access to our
Sure.
driveway,
Right.
and then plus the mailbox, and then we have our sanitation pickups.
Right, yep. So those are all items that, as we get the approval and proceed with the plans, we've kind of started with the big picture item, and then as this projects get closer and closer, we'll figure out, those are the questions that we need to solve. Exactly when driveway access wouldn't be available, and for what properties, mail, and sanitary.
Yeah, cause I
The-
think
the
we're the
side
only
garbage
house with a
control.
line running out the front.
Yep. And I will note that we'll have a resident engineer on this project, and he lives in this neighborhood as well. And
Oh,
so
okay.
some concerns are what's what we're hearing back, and we'll get those communicated.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Dave to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Entertain a motion for both those resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Tim to approve both resolutions. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Brandon.
It's okay.
Well, I guess we gotta skip you now, Matt.
You don't have to.
Oh.
After the next,
We have the review of truth and taxation hearing.
Mayor and Council, this is more or less, we conducted our public hearing last Thursday regarding the proposed budget and tax levy for 2026. I know we had one person in attendance. I usually like to have an opportunity after that hearing for the council. As you know, our last meeting of the year is when we approve all of the budget and tax levies. If there are any changes that you'd like to make, try to provide that opportunity right here for the council to have that now before we bring those final resolutions, or if there's any additional feedback from that truth and taxation hearing. So, the one thing I will note is, and I shared this at the meeting, was that since that time, we know of, we're going to be having, I think, 2 retirements, and one of our officers is leaving the state, and so it's actually going to provide about $40,000 worth of savings, and so our plan is to adjust the tax levy by that amount. So now we're looking at about a 6.5% tax levy increase instead of I think it was 6.9 is what we had talked about at the Truth and Taxation. So we'll have that information for you at your next council meeting. So.
Any other thoughts on the truth and taxation? You ready? Moving on. We have the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 25-867, ordinance to rezone property at 155 Glen Street Northwest.
Mayor and Council, you may recall, we had a first reading of this at our last meeting. This is the property where the landing project is currently getting built, and that was more of a, I don't know if you want to call it a clerical error. It's a cleanup, and there hasn't been any changes since the first reading of that ordinance.
So you're looking for a motion to approve.
Correct.
So, yep. So motion made.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Pat to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. We have second reading and adoption of ordinance number 25-869. Ordinance amending section 153.072, public site open space and bicycle and pedestrian paths.
Mayor and Council, this is another one of those kind of cleanup ordinances that's being recommended by the Planning Commission. I know it's been discussed with the park staff, but most of our fees of the city are done by a resolution through our annual fee schedule. Over the years, we've kind of taken them out of the ordinances. That way, instead of having to go through two readings to change the ordinance, it can be updated on an annual basis if the council decides to do that. And so that's what's being proposed with this ordinance, is to take the fee schedule out of the ordinance and to put them into the annual fee schedule that gets acted on. So there hasn't been any changes since the first reading of that ordinance.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Under new business, the first reading of ordinance number 25-868. Ordinance to rezone property at 552, 554, and 564 Jefferson Street Southeast with favorable planning commission recommendation.
Mayor and council, you may recall we had a discussion on this at our last meeting, but Dan, who was unable to make it tonight, he forgot to include the ordinance when we had a discussion, and so I think the council approved it, but there actually wasn't an ordinance in there, and so we need to do it through an ordinance. So staff is asking you to consider our first reading of that ordinance to rezone that property. You may recall that was for a long period of time that was a commercial building, and it is adjacent to commercial land, and so that was the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Motion to approve ordinance 25-868.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Amending attachment of the Hutchinson Hutchinson Fire Relief Association bylaws, increasing benefit amounts to members.
Mayor and council, I know we do have members of the Fire Relief Association here tonight to answer any questions that you may have, but recently they went through an actuarial study regarding their investments, which came back showing that the funds are very healthy and that they're at a funding ratio of 118%. A copy of that report was included in your council packet. I think they've kind of had a formal or informal policy in place that any time that gets over 100%, they want to review that for potential benefit increases. And so the board met last month, and they are recommending an increase to the benefit amount, and that would be we do have monthly benefit amounts and lump sum benefits. And the recommendation would be go from $17 to $19 on the monthly benefit, and that the lump sum would go from $36.60 to $44.60. And so any changes in the benefit amount and the bylaws need to be approved by the city council, and that's why that's in front of you tonight for consideration. Once again, we've got members of the Relief Association here to answer any questions that you may have. And if I misstated or didn't state anything correctly, feel free to come and correct me. So,
Any questions for the Relief Board?
Motion to approve the amendment attachment.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Governance, we have the library board minutes of October 27th, 2025. Chief Gifferson, you got anything? Just drive safe. It's slippery out there. Alrighty. Mike, you got anything for us? Chief Schulman, you have anything for us?
I would echo the same thing. Drive safe.
All right. Brandon, you got anything else for us? Mark, you got anything tonight?
Nothing tonight.
Matt,
I don't have anything either.
Oh
It's
my
December,
God.
it's holiday season, so it's pretty quiet, so,
You gotta get home and get shopping.
oh.
Dave, let's start with you tonight.
I have nothing also.
Alrighty, Pat?
No committee meetings, that we want coming up for ADA. And nothing, drive careful.
Yeah. Chad?
We had a park board meeting, the Kiwanis, warming house, if it's not open already, it'll open soon. They're working on flooding the rinks outside, so that'll be open soon as well. They just need to have some cold weather, which they've had, so.
Which is coming.
Just coming, yeah, they'll make ice this weekend, it looks like, so.
Chad, is that warming house open on the Northwoods too? or the-
No, but they are gonna flood it, and there's a group of neighbors that are going to help with snow removal and maintenance of it. So,
Okay.
yeah, but they're not gonna open because of attendance, but, Park Elementary will be open like it always has been.
Okay.
You
Just
Shep
wanna-
taking care of the ice?
I have no idea who it is, so.
Just wanna, do a shout out for the neighbors that do take care of the rinks. We greatly appreciate that. Anything else, Chad?
Otherwise I had nothing.
Okay. Timmy?
I have nothing, but I won't steal your thunder and hint about red devices that have water and snow around them.
Cleaned mine out twice in the last 2 days.
Well, yeah. How'd you know I was gonna mention that? Adopt a hydrant.
Yes.
Please. It does help the firemen out if you do have an active fire to get water supply right away, and cleaning out 3 feet around is, even if you do a foot around, it's a lot. But recommendations are 3 feet around, right, Mike? Something like that. So please adopt a hydrant and keep them clean. Otherwise, just drive careful and let's go home and be warm.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to adjourn. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
You guys.